The man with the golden curse. He is remembered in whispers and cautionary tales. A king who longed for wealth so deeply, the gods themselves answered his wish. Midas, the man with the golden touch. To some he was a greedy fool whose hunger for riches condemned him. To others, a tragic king who dared to measure himself against the gods, and paid with his life. But behind the myth of roses that turned to gold, of donkey's ears hidden beneath a crown, and of a whisper that grew into a song of reeds, lies something more. A real king, Mita of Mushki, ruler of Phrygia in the 8th century BCE, whose wealth and downfall left such a mark that history blurred into myth. This is the story of Midas, where legend and history become indistinguishable. Chapter 1, Child of Omens, Heir of Phrygia. Midas was said to be born for greatness. As an infant, omens surrounded him. Ants carried grains of wheat to his cradle, piling them by his side. A sign, the priests declared, that he would one day command unthinkable wealth. Some traditions claim his ancestors led the Phrygians from Thrace into Asia Minor, crossing the Hellespont to carve out a kingdom. By the 9th and 8th centuries BCE, Phrygia was thriving. Its capital, Gordium, boasted palaces, fortifications, and tumulus tombs rivaling those of kings in Mesopotamia. Midas himself, legend says, was tutored by none other than Orpheus, the greatest musician of myth, whose songs could charm beasts and bend the will of gods. But no amount of music could prepare him for the dangers of divine gifts. Chapter 2, The Gift of Dionysos. The story begins in a rose garden. Midas discovered a drunken satyr lying beneath the blossoms. Silenus, tutor of Dionysos, god of wine. Some versions say the king gently cared for the satyr, feeding him, clearing his head, and escorting him back to his master. Others, darker versions, tell of Midas drugging a pool to capture Silenus and extract his wisdom. On Greek vases from the 6th century BCE, Silenus is shown bound, escorted by attendants. Whichever tale is true, Midas returned Silenus to Dionysos. For 5 nights the satyr had entertained him with visions of faraway lands, seas, and strange peoples. Dionysos, grateful for his companion's safe return, offered the king a reward. One wish. And Midas, clever but reckless, asked for this. "Grant that whatever I touch may turn to gold." The god consented, and the world was never the same. Chapter 3, The Golden Curse. At first, Midas rejoiced. Branches, stones, soil, all turned to gleaming treasure beneath his hand. Roses of crimson became roses of metal, their scent replaced by the cold sheen of wealth. But delight soon turned to horror. When he mounted his horse, the beast froze, lifeless, transformed into a golden statue. When he washed his hands, the water hardened into metal. When he reached for bread, it crumbled into solid gold. Wine, fruit, even meat, all became inedible treasure. The curse of avarice had struck. Surrounded by riches, Midas starved. At last, desperate, he fell to his knees before Dionysos and begged release. The god relented, telling him, "Bathe in the source of the river Pactolus in Lydia, and you will be freed." After an arduous journey, Midas plunged into its waters. His power washed away, and the river, it was said, forever after carried gold dust in its sands. Thus ended the Midas touch. A lesson for all mortals. Greed brings not abundance, but ruin. Chapter 4, The Ears of an Ass. But Midas's troubles were not over. The king found himself judge in a musical contest between Apollo, god of the lyre, and Pan, god of the pipes. Apollo, master of harmony, leader of the muses, played with divine perfection. Pan played his rustic syrinx, a melody of earth and forest. The crowd favored Apollo, But Midas, perhaps out of stubbornness, perhaps out of poor taste, declared Pan the victor. Enraged, Apollo cursed him. His ears grew long and furry, the ears of an ass. Ashamed, Midas concealed them under a turban, his secret known only to his barber. But secrets are heavy burdens. The barber, desperate to tell, dug a hole by a riverbank and whispered into the earth, "Midas has ass's ears." From that spot grew reeds, and whenever the wind blew, the reeds whispered the truth for all to hear. Midas has ass's ears. Humiliated, Midas ordered his barber killed. Soon after, consumed by shame, he took his own life by drinking bull's blood. Thus ended the mythical king, not with treasure, but with disgrace. Chapter 5. The real king behind the myth. Was Midas only a story? Perhaps not. In Assyrian records and Phrygian inscriptions, there appears a king, Mita of Mushki, who ruled from around 728 to 696 BCE. Mita led a powerful Phrygian kingdom in central Anatolia, rich in metals, pottery, and trade. He was the first foreign monarch to dedicate offerings at Delphi in Greece, a sign of his prestige across cultures. But Phrygia fell in the 7th century BCE, attacked by the nomadic Cimmerians. Archaeologists discovered a massive burial mound at Gordium, known as Tumulus MM, second only to the greatest Anatolian tombs. Inside lay the remains of a man some believe to be the historical Midas himself. The wealth of Phrygia, its fertile lands and its gold-rich rivers may have inspired the legends of the Midas touch, and the shame of its downfall may have birthed the tale of donkey's ears and humiliation. Interestingly, another king of the same region, Croesus of Lydia, would later be remembered for legendary wealth, echoing Midas's story in history's mirror. The Song of Gold. The myths of Midas endure because they speak to timeless truths. Gold, the most desired of metals, becomes a curse when it replaces life itself. Hubris before the gods brings not honor, but shame. Secrets, no matter how deeply buried, always find a voice, and history itself is a whisper, the whisper of reeds, carrying the memory of kings. Midas, a man who may have lived, a legend who never died, a caution that wealth without wisdom is only the beginning of ruin.